Hello, this is Music Tech Help Guy, and welcome to part 7 of my Alchemy synthesizer tutorial in Logic Pro 10. In this episode, we are going to take a look at using the perform controls. We've actually used them quite a bit just in the very first video, but I wanted to show you guys how to actually assign your own custom controls. So what I've done off screen is I've built this sort of moving synth instrument. It's got a lot of things synced up to the sequencer, as well as a few things synchronized to the arpeggiator as well. So it's got a lot of movement to it. And what I want this to do is I want to be able to sort of assign some controls down here and morph through those controls. So let me just play you what I have so far. I've got just like a kick drum down here with a bass, and then my Alchemy synth up here just playing chords. All right, so the goal here is we want to take some of our assignable controls, as well as maybe the depth of some of our pre-existing modulation, as well as some of our effects and some of our arpeggiator controls, and assign them to these 8 perform knobs, as well as the 2 perform XY pads. Then you can sort of modulate between them. So the thing about the remix pad or the perform pad, whatever you want to call it, is that you can't just move something up here and then save it down here. You have to save a modulation setting down here first, then you can morph through those controls. So the only thing that the perform XY pad controls is snapshots, that's what they call it, snapshots of just this bottom area. It doesn't control anything up here directly. It has to control it through another knob down here. So what I'm gonna do is let's start well, actually, let me show you the basics of how this works. Without assigning any modulation effects to these knobs, let me just show you how it works. So let's say we start on snapshot 1 here. Snapshot 1 has all 8 knobs all the way down. If we go to snapshot 2, we can pull up a knob, pull up certain knobs, move the XY pad, move certain controls. We can right click on that and we can say store current snapshot. So now that when I want to go from here to here, it actually morphs between those controls. Another thing you can do is you can right click and you can rename these, so you can give them more descriptive names rather than just 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So you can right click and rename them. Now if you want to start all over, you can click right here and go to clear, and it'll clear the entire XY pad, but still leave everything up here intact. So let's go through our oscillators, our 4 oscillators, and some of our effects, and let's assign some controls to these 8 knobs. I have this syncing, like the waveform sync being modulated by sequencer 1. So let's modulate the depth of that. So we say add, right click on the knob, say add modulation, go to perform, and say control 1. Let's go to, let's see, the cutoff. No, that's fine. Let's modulate the here we go. The resonance is going to the sequencer. Let's modulate the depth of the resonance in this oscillator by control number 2. And let's modulate the sync as well, the sync depth, I should say. So we'll go perform, control number 3. In oscillator D, let's just maybe control the filter cutoff here. So let's put that in control 4. Let's go out to the global view. Let's modulate the cutoff frequency a filter 1 on control 5. Let's do the cutoff here as control 6. And let's go into our arpeggiator. Let's modulate the rate. Actually, let's modulate the octave of arpeggiator A with control 7, and the octave of arpeggiator B with control 9 or control 8. I don't, honestly, I don't think I'm going to use, which one was it? It was in D very much. I think, well, that wasn't that one. It was like the sync one, or I can't remember which one it was. Maybe it was this one. Instead of doing the sync here, let's do, let's control the length of this one. We'll say perform control 3. Now, the other thing you can do is, in addition to assigning individual controls, you can also assign XY controls. So what I'm going to do is I have in my effects unit, I have reverb on the main, and then under B, under effects bus B, I have a delay. So what I want to do is I want to make one of my XY pads sort of be like more wet, less wet. So all the way up is more wet, all the way down is less wet. So basically more reverb and delay, less reverb and delay. So that's what we're going to do. We're going to click on our convolution reverb, right-click on the wet knob. We're going to send that over to XY pad X. We're going to go to our delay, and we're going to send the mix over to XY pad Y. That's the first one. And then let's synchronize both our resonance and our mix of both of our filters. So let's say right-click. Let's make this XY pad Y or X2, the resonance, and then let's make this 2Y. There we go. So this is going to be more resonance, less resonance, more wet, more dry. Another thing you can control, like I really don't want my resonance to be that high. So when you click on the resonance, you can actually still pull the depth down. So all the way up isn't actually all the way up. I'm going to do the same here. Pull that down just a touch. There we go. I may also do that with some of these sync options too. That's the sequencer. Yeah, I think we're fine there. And then the other thing is there's 4 envelope controls. What I'm going to do is I'm just going to make my main master envelope go to these 4. So I'm just going to right click on the attack time. We'll make this go to M attack. I don't want quite that much. I just want to slightly vary the attack time. You know, when I pull this up and down, I don't want it to be like a massive difference, just a slight difference. Because we're morphing here, you know. I just don't want to completely ruin the sound by overdoing it. We'll make the decay go to the decay. I'm actually going to pull the decay down, so I'm going to invert the depth. The sustain is all the way up normally. So let's put that to sustain, and let's make that one inverted as well. There we go. And then the release, I think we can get away with maybe doing a little bit more with. There we go. There we go. And you'll see as I move the depth knob, the modulation amount, or here the modulation range in orange, does change. So you can sort of get an idea of how far it can go depending on how you play with these here. All right, so let's play around with this. Let me just solo Alchemy out here. I'm just gonna loop this little section here, and let's see what we've got. So I like that setting. Let's rename that. Let's make that our first snapshot. We'll call that warm and wet. So now let's do something else with it. Maybe let's make it a little bit brighter. So we could call that one maybe wetter. or not wetter, brighter, because it's the same amount of wetness. We'll just say brighter. There we go. And we right click and we say store current snapshot. Let's go to the next one. Let's make this really, really, really wet. Let's pull the convolution reverb wet and the delay mix up quite a bit. And I tell you what, that is just out of control. So let's pull the depth down on the delay, as well as the depth down on the reverb as well. It's just it's too wet is the problem. So rename that chirpy. Sounds chirpy to me. There you go. You know what I kind of want to do? I kind of want to make like the pitch modulated on one of these. I wonder if I could do this one, get away with this one. Let's actually put this over on Control 8. So on this one, we're going to make this go up a bit. Really, it's a little tricky. Maybe I'll call it beepy instead of chirpy, because that's what it sounds like now. All right, let's move on to the next one. By the way, you can copy a setting if you click on it. Click here and say copy snapshot. Move to the next one. You can say paste snapshot. So you can sort of start with the previous setting, so you're not changing too much stuff. Let's maybe like pull the attack time up in this one, the release up on it a bit. I'll just get another name. So now we can go between these 4 different settings. Now, one of the problems you may find when you make these is that sometimes the volume level is a bit off. One thing you can do is you can pull the volume down for each snapshot. So this one's noticeably louder. Yeah, so these 3 were noticeably louder than the first one. So if we pull the volume down on those, it sort of levels it out as you morph between them. There we go. So let's try writing this out there now as automation. Just gonna hit A to pull up my automation, turn latch mode on. And I'm just going to open Alchemy here. I'm going to go back to simple mode because we don't need to see all the other stuff right now. And just hit play. I'm going to move this up and automate in a movement from here all the way up to here. I don't really like that that pitch one. It's the pitch modulation is kind of difficult to get away with, so I think I'm gonna put something else there. Let's actually clear that modulation. Let's try. Oh, let's try the sync of the big and dirty here instead, because that'll produce a similar effect, but not so over the top. So let's try that again. I'm gonna go ahead and automate that in. All right, so let's put ourselves back in read mode. Hit A to close out my automation. Let's see what that sounds like with everything else in there. There you go. One other thing I should mention is when you assign these controls to the perform pad, you'll notice that all the other modulation sources are in here too. So in previous videos, you know, like if I wanted to modulate my volume here with an envelope, I was saying click on it, go down to the modulation area, choose the LFO or the envelope that you want. You can actually do that directly from any knob. You can right click, say add modulation, and then just tell it where to go to. So if I want to send this knob over to LFO2, you can instantly do that. And then your modulation window pops up here. So that's just a little bit quicker way to assign modulation than what we were doing before. All right, so I hope you enjoyed this video. In the next video, we will finally start looking at some of these other oscillator functions, using Alchemy as a granular synthesizer, as a sampler. So we'll get into some of these other controls. So again, I hope you enjoyed the video, and thanks again.